How do Formula One teams manage to get all their equipment across the globe for every race? With events on different continents, transporting everything from cars to tools is no easy task. Let's dive into the fascinating logistics that keep F1 running smoothly worldwide. In Formula One, the clock is always ticking and timing is everything. A single delay in getting the equipment to a race venue could be costly. Formula One teams must carefully manage everything from the transportation of cars and parts to ensuring their headquarters, often called motorhomes, are set up in time for the event. To keep the racing operations running smoothly, Formula One teams rely on a well-organized logistics process that includes air freight, sea freight, land transport, and even specialized trucks that handle the transportation of cars. So what exactly goes into this transport process? First, let's take a look at the different methods teams use to move their equipment. For Formula One teams, moving equipment across continents involves a mixture of air, sea, and land transportation. The choice of transport depends on the location of the race, the urgency, and the type of equipment being shipped. Air freight is often used for the most time-sensitive equipment. If a race is coming up soon, teams may need to move parts like the car itself, data systems, and critical spare parts via air. Why air freight? Simply put, it's the fastest way to get equipment from one place to another. The planes used are usually large cargo jets like Boeing 747s or Boeing 777s that are specifically arranged to carry Formula One freight. While air transport is fast, it's also expensive, which is why teams only use it when absolutely necessary. In fact, for each race, teams must prepare their equipment weeks or even months in advance to secure the necessary air transport. Sea freight, on the other hand, is used for equipment that isn't time-sensitive. Sea shipping is a slower option, but it's also more cost-effective. Teams use shipping containers, each holding tons of tools, spare parts, and non-essential race gear, then move across the world in large cargo ships. While this method is slower than air freight, it allows teams to plan ahead and save on costs, especially for races where they have to move equipment between continents. Lastly, land transport is used primarily for European races. When races are located in nearby countries, teams rely on specialized trucks to transport their equipment. These trucks are designed to carry everything from the cars themselves to the massive motorhomes which serve as temporary team headquarters. For European races, it's all about convenience and reliability. The road network within Europe is well developed, and teams can drive their trucks from one race to the next, often covering thousands of kilometers in just a matter of days. So, what kinds of equipment do F1 teams transport? When Formula One teams travel to each race, they have to bring a significant amount of equipment. At the heart of it all is, of course, the car itself. But that's just the beginning. Teams also have to transport spare parts, tools, spare engines, fuel tires, and much more. Even the data systems and communication equipment used during the race need to be safely transported. The cars themselves are packed with precision. After all, Formula One cars are finely tuned machines that require delicate handling during transport. In addition to the cars, teams bring with them a whole range of spare parts in case something breaks or needs replacing during the race. Every team has a fully stocked toolkit, which includes everything from wrenches to special diagnostic equipment. And let's not forget about the motorhomes. These are the mobile offices and living spaces that F1 teams rely on during a race weekend. They include everything from kitchens to medical rooms and even bedrooms for team members. Why do F1 teams rely on air freight? Air freight is, by far, the fastest way to get equipment to the next race. For races with tight schedules or when there's little time to spare, air transport becomes the go-to method. Imagine a scenario where a Formula One race is happening in Europe one weekend and the next race is taking place halfway across the world, say Asia, just days later. If teams were to rely solely on sea transport, they'd risk missing the race or losing valuable preparation time. That's where air freight comes in. While it's more expensive than sea freight, air freight allows teams to have their cars, spare parts, and essential tools on the ground the moment they land. For example, in cases where teams need to get an essential spare part quickly, air freight becomes their best option. Without it, teams could be left racing against the clock, trying to arrange other means of transport that might not be as reliable. Formula One is all about precision, and that applies to more than just the cars. The timing of logistics is critical because the race schedule is incredibly tight. From the moment the race ends in one location, the equipment has to be packed up, shipped off, and ready to go for the next race, often with very little time in between. This tight schedule is particularly challenging for races that occur on back-to-back weekends. In these situations, the logistics team must be prepared to work quickly and efficiently to ensure that everything is packed up and transported on time. Drivers and crew members can work incredibly long hours during these races, sometimes moving from one country to another in less than 48 hours. But timing doesn't just matter for the crews getting to the track. The equipment itself needs to be ready and waiting when the teams arrive. If there are delays at customs or problems with the transport, the team could lose valuable preparation time for the race. That's why every part of the logistics process, from packing to loading, is carefully timed and planned. How do F1 teams pack and protect their equipment? Packing F1 equipment for transportation isn't as simple as throwing things into a box. Each piece of equipment, from the cars to the smallest tools, has to be carefully packed to ensure it's protected during transit. This is particularly true for the cars. Formula One cars are incredibly delicate, with finely tuned parts that could be easily damaged if not handled properly. The cars are often placed inside specially designed containers known as race containers, which are designed to protect them from any potential damage. These containers are padded and equipped with advanced suspension systems to absorb shocks during transit. For less delicate items like spare parts and tools, teams use heavy-duty crates, ensuring that every piece of equipment is securely fastened and doesn't shift during transport. While the cars are the most valuable pieces of equipment, it's also important to protect things like data systems, radios, and communication tools. These devices are vital to the team's success on race day and must be stored and transported in protective cases. Coordinating the transportation of all the equipment requires a huge amount of organization. Formula One logistics teams are responsible for ensuring that the right equipment arrives at the right time. This includes not only tracking the movement of the equipment, but also making sure the teams have the right gear in the right place. A big part of this coordination is working closely with logistics partners. DHL, for example, is Formula One's longtime logistics partner, handling everything from shipping to customs clearance. These logistics companies play a vital role in ensuring that teams have everything they need when they need it. DHL in particular employs a team of experts who oversee every aspect of transport, from air freight to sea freight and even land transport. It's not just about sending things from one place to another, it's about ensuring that every part of the logistics process is synchronized right down to the minute details. This is why timing is so critical. Each team must work together to ensure that equipment doesn't get delayed at any point in the journey. The transportation of F1 equipment starts much earlier than you might think. For every race, teams begin planning and organizing months in advance. While the race schedule might only be set at the beginning of the year, teams are already planning their logistics months ahead, figuring out which type of transport they'll use, where the equipment will be stored, and how everything will be packed. For European races, the transport process starts a few days before the race weekend. As soon as the last race finishes, equipment is quickly packed and prepared for transport. For the flyaway races, the process is even more time-sensitive. Teams often begin packing their equipment days or even weeks before the race. Where do F1 teams store their equipment? When the cars and equipment are not being used at a race, they're typically stored at the team's headquarters or in large storage facilities near major logistics hubs. Some of the biggest hubs for Formula One logistics are located near major international airports like London Heathrow, Singapore Changi, or Dubai International, which allow for quick and easy access to air freight services. Teams also rely on specialized facilities to store spare parts and tools while they aren't in use. These warehouses are equipped with advanced inventory systems to ensure that everything is easy to find and retrieve when added. So, how do F1 teams pull it off? With careful planning, efficient logistics, and a lot of teamwork, they ensure all their equipment is ready for race day no matter where the track is. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our latest updates. Do let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and we'll see you guys next time.